Welcome to Invisible Strings, where we tug at the little threads that hold our lives together. From mental health and relationships to marriage, motherhood, and all the beautiful chaos in between. I'm Katie, your guide to navigating life's tangled web, one string at a time. Think of this as your weekly dose of insight, sprinkled with a bit of laughter, some heartfelt chats, and maybe even a happy tear or two. So, whether you're juggling a million things or you just need a break, let's untangle life together, because those invisible strings, they're what keep us connected. This is Invisible Strings. Let's get started. Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone's had an amazing 4th of July weekend and summer is definitely kicked off and is having a great summer with your kids or with your animals or with your family, and you're doing lots of fun things and having a lot of really cool experiences. We are in Rhode Island for the next 2 weeks, which is like one of the things I look forward to the most during the year. We have a family home here and I can go anywhere in the world and this is still my favorite place. So I'm really grateful to be here for the next couple weeks, and I'm grateful to be here with my family. And I am so excited to be doing a podcast here. So it's one of the fun parts about doing this is that you can do it anywhere in the world. And I think that's really cool. Today, I have a story to tell you guys, and I'm so excited about it. And the story's not completed yet. I don't know where it's going to go, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how sometimes the things that happen to us we think are about us, but they're actually not about us. And that's a realization that I've come to just in the last couple weeks with everything that's happened medically with Jack. And it's wild to me. It's so wild to see how God uses us to do his work, and how when your eyes are open to it, you become less self-involved and just more self-aware of what's going on around you, and how God will show you these incredible invisible strings that he's weaving throughout your life and throughout the lives of people around you, and how he puts people in your life for a purpose and a reason. And it's amazing. Like, it's eye-opening, it's exciting, strangely, incredibly calming. And I think that's one of the reasons I feel so calm all the time now, is that when I wake up in the morning, I'm expecting to see some of these invisible strings. Maybe I shouldn't be expecting to see them, but he shows them to me all the time. And I am excited every morning I wake up to see who I'm going to meet or see how things are going to connect. And it's so amazing and it's so incredible. And I just think that, sometimes the hardest part of walking through something scary is realizing it might not even be about you. So today I'm going to share what I've learned after our follow-up appointment for Jack, and how God's hand was clearly at work in a much bigger story, and it wasn't even ours. So most of you have probably been on this journey with me, so you've heard everything that's happened. Really very brief recap is that Jack had a little lesion in the back of his head a couple months ago that they found on a dental scan, and we were able to quickly get him into a specialist. And they ended up going in, and it ended up being basically a sac of fluid that was stuck in his clivus bone that didn't develop fully. So Jack is completely fine, and they were able to open that up and drain it, and totally fine, and he's great, and he's back to being his busy, sport-loving self. And that we're so grateful for that. So grateful to God for all that. And I wanted to just set the tone here that this story was about Brett, but it's really, I think, more about God using our circumstances to connect people and to accomplish his plans. And it was far beyond anything we could have seen. So let's take a minute right now and talk through this appointment. So Jack had the surgery. He recovered great. We had a 1-week follow-up appointment. with Dr. Capello, and we we went the following Wednesday, and we got in right away. He checked out my guy. He's like, he looks great. This looks amazing. I said, okay, great. And usually, you guys, with a specialist, if you've ever seen a specialist, which maybe some of you have, um, I would say not everybody, because that's not fair, but most specialists don't have a lot of time to spend with you, and they are, they have a couple days where where they're doing surgeries, and a couple days where they can see patients, and they're in definite need, and I just haven't had an experience necessarily with a specialist that has incredible bedside manner and also will just sit and talk to you. And I would never expect that. I am like, okay, wham bam, thank you ma'am, like, you let me know what's going on. Am I good? What do I need to do? I can follow steps, move on, and I'll leave. Like, I'm not trying to sit around and talk. This doctor, however, was so charismatic, had an incredible bedside manner. He works with adults and kids. And so he just had a great bedside manner with Jack. So Dr. Cavallo came in, he took a look at Jack and said, he looks great. This all looks good. Everything is disintegrated in terms of, like, they had to pack his nose, which was super uncomfortable for the first day, and he looks great. Cool. So I don't know if anyone out there has seen a specialist before, but they're typically pretty busy and they don't have a lot of time to sit around and chit chat because most of their days are filled with surgery. And the couple days that they don't have surgery, they're seeing patients like back to back. I think the appointment was for like 10 minutes maybe. And after he looked at Jack, he sat down, and I just wanted to let him know that I was incredibly impressed with Living Children's Hospital, and the nurses there were amazing. I got to speak with them for a while. One of his nurses that was with him in pre-op didn't have to come to post-op, but decided to come to post-op to hang out with Jack and us. And she was amazing. And I've written all of them Daisy Awards because I'm just so impressed with the care and compassion. And I know firsthand that the job that they have is incredibly hard and thankless, and they're not being paid enough money. And so it was just one of the things I was talking to him about before we were going to leave. And he's like, that's amazing. I'm so grateful that you're doing that. My mom was a nurse. My mom is a nurse. And it is really a thankless job. And you're working with people and they're probably at their lowest. And you are looked at as a friendly face. And a lot of times people are not nice to you because they're scared or whatever the reason is. It's not always like obviously a very happy place to be. So I wanted to let him know that I just was really impressed with all the care that we got. So grateful and so thankful, and just let us know how we can help with anything. He was really grateful for that feedback and the fact that someone would go out of their way to write Daisy Awards and write to the head of Atrium, because I know firsthand as a recruiter that doesn't happen very often. And it's so amazing when it does. And it feels so good when it happens, because when you're in the hospital, you're not at your best, right? You're probably at maybe your lowest. It's not a very happy place to be. And I just wanted to let him know that we were so grateful from start to finish. And he mentioned that his mom had been a nurse, and it is so great to be able to get those awards and stuff like that. And he was just saying that led into a conversation about Atrium in general, and that he gets to work with these incredible neurosurgeons that are from a private practice. They do their fellowship in this private practice in Arizona, and they're some of the best in the whole country, and we have them here at Atrium. And he was sitting down talking to me about this, and he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like wasting your time today. And I'm like, no, I love hearing about this stuff. Like, thank you. And I was hoping that I wouldn't, you're telling me this information and I hope I don't ever need it. But I'm so grateful that I live in a place where if I do need it, first of all, I have an amazing doctor in my corner. And I didn't even know how amazing he was until this situation. But Also, that he knew of other doctors in the area that were top notch, just in case. We probably talked for 20 minutes and we have another follow up in a month. And so I walked out. His nurse came and gave me a big hug. I love her so much. And we made the next appointment and we walked out. And I got in the car and called one of my girlfriends. And I'm like, listen to what just happened. He stayed and talked to me for like 20 minutes and told me all about this stuff with these neurosurgeons at Atrium and how lucky we are. And my girlfriend was like, that's so weird that he told you all that stuff. And I'm like, do you think it's weird? And she's like, no, I just think that it's like, you just learn the most interesting information, everywhere you go. And I'm like, I do. I think it's because I ask a lot of questions. Okay, so we had a Bible study that day for high school. Jules was leading it, and we had a great conversation. The girls asked incredible questions, hard questions, questions that are very thought provoking. At the end of the Bible study, Jules closed us out in prayer. And she prayed something along the lines of, God, can you use us to become your beacons of light? Can you find personalized ways to reveal your presence in our lives and use the invisible strings within the tapestry you're weaving together to glorify you? And, we all prayed it and we left, and that was it. I just remember thinking to myself at one point after that doctor's appointment, after we had Bible study, I was like, that was such a weird situation. Like, I could never have predicted that 3 weeks before that, there would have been a point where we were maybe concerned about the fact that our child could have something seriously wrong with him. And I hadn't had fears like that in a really, really long time. Like, I used to fear that kind of stuff all the time. I used to be scared of every single thing I heard about any other child in the world having a sickness or dying or drowning or anything, any of those horrible, horrible things. And it used to consume me. Like, I'd have dreams about it. It was horrible. And I used to just be so scared that something was going to happen to my kids. And I was just always on this like high. I don't know. I was just very scared all the time. And that was a horrible feeling. And I know a lot of you moms out there feel that way now. I know that you're very anxious about different diseases and letting them go to camp or letting them sleep at friends' houses or letting them have, devices, just all the things. And we have a right to be worried about that kind of stuff. At one point, though, I was so lucky to be able to release that control and give it to God. And when I say that, I truly mean like I have given it to God. Like, I do not have any control really over what happens to my kids. And I pray that they are healthy always and that they make the right decisions, but ultimately they're not mine. And so I think that control aspect was more of a thing for me and less about trying to control them, but just trying to control all the situations that felt out of control to me. So a few days later, one of my girlfriends that I had told about my experience in Dr. Quella's office after the 1 week visit was at a swim meet. And she was hanging out, she was talking to some friends, and there was a friend there that she hadn't seen in a while. And she said, how are you doing? What's going on? How are you? And her friend was like, I'm okay. There's something I haven't talked to you about, but I want to let you know that my daughter actually has a brain tumor. And we've had a lot of, it's been very scary and we can't get in anywhere. Do you happen to know a neurosurgeon? Do you happen to know a neurologist? Girlfriend was like, well, actually, I actually think I do. I do think I know one. Hold on a second. And she sends me a message and my eyes just opened up so wide and I kind of started laughing. It's not funny. It's not funny that this person's daughter has a brain tumor at all. But I was like, get out of town. What? And the situation for this little girl is so bad. And they can't get in to see anybody. The earliest was like beginning of August. And at this point, it was still June. And she reached out to me and she's like, can you reach out to the Dr. Capello that helped you? And I was like, yes. So you guys, I send a message on my chart. Dr. Capello's nurse reached out to me probably within 10 minutes. She said, I sent the message over to Dr. Capello. These are the neurosurgeons that he's usually working with. And I think these are who he was talking to you about. But I sent it over to him. I'm going out of town. Here's my personal email address. If you need anything, over the weekend, please let me know. And I think within like an hour, I had gotten a phone call from a Virginia number. And I didn't know who it was. So I just let it go to voicemail. Well, it was Dr. Capello. And he left me a voicemail and he said, this is my cell phone number. You can call me here. You can text me here, whatever you need. Let me know what you need. These are the two neurosurgeons I would recommend, but I'm about to talk to both of them. Can you tell me what the diagnosis is? You guys, what specialist gives you their cell phone number, right? I know. So I reach out to my friend. What's the diagnosis? Give me all the information. So she did. She reached out to her friend whose daughter had the brain tumor, and she gave her all the information, gave me all the information, gave it all to Dr. Capello. Again, I texted to him. He texted me back about 25 minutes later. I've talked to both of the surgeons. This is the one that she needs to be talking to. Send me her name and phone number so that I can call her myself and I will get her scheduled to meet with the surgeon ASAP. And I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that crazy? So I gave him all the information, and that same day he called, and now this little girl has an entire team of people working for her. And it blows my mind. It literally blows my mind. And my girlfriend was like, just as like geeked out about it as I was. It makes me so excited to tell you about this story. And I hope that you all got goosebumps like I did, because that little girl her life can be saved now. God does not use any situation for absolutely no reason. What if God was using Jack's situation just to position me in that doctor's office at that moment to be a messenger for someone else? This situation, it completely shifted my perspective. God didn't need to show me that. I don't deserve an answer to any of these questions. I don't deserve an explanation for why he does what he does. I felt like when that happened, it was so gracious. Like he didn't need to show me. The realization of what had happened completely shifted my perspective from asking, why me, why us? And it changed it, because the better question was, who is this really for? Who are you using the situation for? And that can be in any situation. Like I can think back to my panic and anxiety, and I could never have imagined my freshman self in the midst of these panic attacks. Then however many years later, it's like embarrassing, like 25 years later, probably more. I don't even know now. I can't do math, and definitely can't do math fast, but he's using it for his glory. And I would never, it was definitely why me? Why me? I don't deserve this. Like, I actually don't ever think I didn't deserve it. I think that I just wanted it to go away. The realization of what had happened completely shifted my perspective. I would never have thought when I was a freshman in high school that my panic and anxiety would be used for his glory ever. And that he was setting me up to a place where I could help other people, where I could use it for his glory. The suffering, like it was years and years and years of panic and anxiety. And he didn't waste it. It wasn't wasted. It was still for his glory, even though I didn't know it. And I had to come to that realization for myself. And I felt like he tried to show it to me sooner, but I didn't have the confidence, or I didn't have the realization. I didn't have the right people weren't in my circle yet. but everyone serves a purpose. Everyone you meet serves a purpose. Everything you go through serves a purpose, regardless of what it is. And it really, really shifted my perspective when I watched it through Jack. And even in the Bible, there are situations where he uses a circumstance of somebody else to further his purpose. So, for example, you have Joseph, who went from the pit to the prison to purpose. And Joseph, he had dreams early on, literal divine dreams, but his journey to leadership didn't look anything like favor. That's what it felt like for me. He was betrayed by his brothers. He was sold into slavery. He was falsely accused, and he was forgotten about in prison. But what looked like delay was actually development, and what felt like a punishment was really preparation. While Joseph sat in prison, he didn't know he was one conversation away from the palace. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Genesis 50:20. His story wasn't about him. It was about saving others. Has that ever happened to you? Like, when you think about it now, have you thought about a time when something felt so awful for you and then you realize it wasn't really even about you? He was using you, and maybe you didn't even know it was him using you. Maybe you didn't have a relationship with God. Maybe you don't have a relationship with God right now, but can you think of a time when something has happened where it was happening to you, but it wasn't about you? Then there was Esther. And Esther, as we had mentioned earlier, Esther didn't ask to be queen. She was chosen. When her people faced destruction, her cousin Mordecai told her, if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from another place. And who knows, but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. That's Esther 14. Esther could have stayed quiet, but she realized her position was for a purpose. She risked her life to speak up, and an entire nation was saved. Maybe Jack's situation wasn't about a diagnosis. Maybe it wasn't about divine direction. Maybe God needed me in that room, in that moment, to help open a door for someone else's healing. You guys, we all have those opportunities. We all have those moments. I think it's incredible when we are doing what we're being asked to do, even though we didn't even know we were being asked to do it, right? I didn't know that, but I did just get this like kind of strange feeling at the end of that appointment, that there was something bigger going on here. Do you know how humbling it is when God uses your pain to be part of someone else's breakthrough? It actually makes the pain and the anxiety and the worry from what you've gone through feel like there's a purpose. So instead of asking why me while you're walking through a hard situation, maybe the better question is to ask, who is this really for? So I'd love to touch on how to handle scary moments when you don't have the full picture. Total transparency. When the dentist called me and I finally got in touch with her on Friday morning and she told me this, there was no like, I'm sure it's nothing in her voice. I started crying right away. I was scared immediately. I had just had a dream about Jack a couple weeks before that like rocked me to my core, so much so that I didn't want to even tell anybody about it. And I did. I told Jules about it. I told Brad about it. I told my mom about it. And it was around a time when another friend of ours' son had slipped into the water and he was fine. But I had had a horrible dream about Jack. And when I got this call, like my brain went right back to that dream. And I don't have prophetic dreams. I don't think. I don't think that I've ever had a dream that like said what was going to happen ever. Um, but it wouldn't, I wouldn't put it past God to use people in that way. And so instead of immediately like being calm and praying, I mean, I was by myself. I was with Brad was in the other room, but instead of that, I immediately went to fear, which is not something that normally happens to me anymore. And it was scary. So I'm not saying how to handle this, how to handle scary things without having the full picture. Like I did it perfectly because I was really scared. And I didn't get that big feeling of relief until we had seen the doctor who didn't have any information for us at that point. But while I was sitting there in the car on the way back and praying, I did kind of receive this like sense of relief. Like you're going to be fine. Jack's not me, but Jack is going to be fine and everything's going to be okay. That didn't happen right away, obviously. So my whole point of saying that is that when I'm telling you guys this, I'm not saying this like I can do this and I'm really good at this. I'm just saying this as something that I think would be really helpful and for myself next time scary news comes. But try to stay present. Fear lives in the what ifs. And I mean, if we're talking about spiritual warfare, our little devil friend Satan loves to sneak in whenever we're the most vulnerable. And I was definitely vulnerable at that time. And so he played for a little while and then he was pushed out. Pray bold prayers. Now, you might not believe this to be true because it's never happened to you before, but I'm telling you, when you pray bold prayers, it's not a joke. Like, if you don't really want to see things, don't pray for it because you'll see things. When I was on the Shine Retreat in April or May, I think May, I did pray for eyes to see, and I am seeing so many things, and it's so interesting. There's some crazy things happening in my life I can't even talk about right now yet. And I said to my friend, I said, why is this happening? And again, like, listen to your own self-talk, Katie. How about instead of why is this happening, how about who is this happening for? And she said, you did pray to have eyes to see. So I think that God is uncovering a lot of darkness around you. So when you pray bold prayers, be prepared to receive them. Look at God's fingerprints. He's always working, even in waiting rooms, like literally always. You have no idea what your comment or holding a door or just the minute that you're annoyed, flip it around, give someone a compliment. Like, I've been really annoyed this entire podcast because these guys are mowing the lawn outside. And every time I feel like I try to do a podcast, something goes wrong. And I am aware. I know it's Satan. I know. But I have to remind myself of that too. It's like sometimes I feel like I need to put up like sticky notes on my closet door and my mirrors, like in my car, just to remind myself of the same things that I'm trying to remind everybody else of. So look for them, because when you open your eyes and you look, you're going to find them everywhere all the time. And it's incredible. And be available. God may be placing you in someone else's miracle. Isn't that wild to think about? You could be someone else's miracle, your story. You telling your story anywhere could have such an incredible impact on somebody in this world. The stories I've heard here from people that have heard other people's stories that are going through the same thing. There's so many things that I've never gone through that you all have gone through. And I would love for you to come on here and tell your stories. That's what this platform is for. When I said to God, when I thought I was bargaining with him or making a deal, take away this anxiety and I'll help anybody and everybody with mental health. That includes anything and everything. So I think that this platform is really incredible, and to be able to be available and to potentially be working for someone else's miracle through God is a really big job. Everybody has a story and everybody has something they can contribute. And even if you feel like your story is not important, it's not scary enough, it's not bad enough, or it's not intense enough, or whatever, like, yeah, it is. You are here for a purpose, and your purpose is not to just be here for yourself. Your purpose is not to be here to be comfortable. We are not called to be on this earth to be comfortable. We're actually, the more uncomfortable you are, the better you're doing, I think. So those 4 things: stay present, pray bold prayers, look for God's fingerprints, and be available. So I'm going to end this here with a couple questions and some reflection. Have you ever walked through something and realized later it wasn't even about you? If you have, and I would love to hear that. I want to hear those stories. I bet they're amazing. Think about it. Think about some of the hard things that you've gone through, and like they don't really make sense. Like maybe it wasn't about you, and maybe you don't even know what it was about. But when you pray those bold prayers and you pray for your eyes to see, like that would be incredible to know, for God to show you the bigger picture. Sometimes he does. Okay. Are you open to God using your story in someone else's life? Like, yes. I feel like the answer is yes for most of you. And again, I want to hear your stories. I want your story to be someone else's lifeline. Don't think that you are, don't, if you, only if you feel called. I'm not trying to force anyone to come on my podcast, but even if you're nervous about it, think about my thoughts, because this is not like a normal thing for me. Like, this is not an easy thing for me to do. But if you think about how, if just one person can feel better because of it, if one person, this could be one person's lifeline, wouldn't you do it? Wouldn't you tell the story? I think you would tell the story. So let God use your story in someone else's life. And then the last one is, what helps you trust God when life feels out of control? I don't have the answer to that. For me, I just trust that he's in control. And the only way I really was able to do that is just digging into the Bible. And I felt like when I started being obedient in that way, all these doors and windows opened up to me. And it's like once you get to know him and you really get to become intimate with him, you're going to be different. It's just, I've seen it now happen to a few people, and it's so cool. It's really cool. So I'm going to end with just a little bit of encouragement. You may be in a storm right now, but someone might need the shelter of your story tomorrow. Think about that. You may be in a storm right now. Someone's sick in your family, you're having financial difficulties, your marriage is on the brink of disaster. But when you come out of yourself, you might be the shelter that someone else needs. I hope that you guys have an amazing week. I will be back on later this week because I missed a podcast last week while I was traveling, and it was the 4th. And I would love to hear from you if you're interested in being on the podcast. And I would love to hear from you even if you aren't interested in being on the podcast. I'd just love to hear your story. You don't want to tell your story? I can tell your story for you. And when I get updates on that sweet girl, I will definitely update everybody here, because that story is definitely not finished yet. And I'm really excited to see how God uses these doctors to heal their daughter. Have a great week. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of Invisible Strings, where we've tugged at a few threads and hopefully left you with a smile and something to think about. Remember, life's connections might be invisible, but they're oh so strong. If you enjoyed today's chat, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little string pulling in their life. Until next time, keep those invisible strings intact, and I'll see you back here soon for more heartfelt conversations and a dash of fun. Stay connected, stay kind, and keep untangling.